Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Well, friends, I guess it was only a matter of time. It seems like the world has finally woken up. The mask is off, the globalist scam has been utterly exposed, and now people are starting to realize that mass migration was never about compassion, but rather was always about cultural replacement. And of course, we know that Europe is ground zero for this. I've often described Europe as the warning sign, and that especially applies to Germany, and you may have written off the German state at some point, and I'll admit it, myself included. They obviously went nuclear woke, not only running this fake asylum scam, but also becoming the censorship capital of Europe. But now after all of it, it seems like there might actually be a path towards redemption. Germany is finally fighting back. The AfD party is now surging in popularity, and so it seems the political culture in the country is shifting, and now finally we're hearing mainstream politicians vowing to shut it all down. No more endless flows of Middle Eastern migrants, no more importing theocratic views that have zero compatibility with Western civilization. The people are fed up, they want to protect their homeland, and you can feel the tide is turning. Let me show you guys exactly what's going on here. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. Alright folks, so I want to show you guys this little segment here from GB News that popped up on my timeline the other day. Just take a look at how the conversation is shifting.
We will stop immigration. We will close the borders and send the people back, first of all.
Is that legal migrants as well, or is that just asylum seekers?
Islamic radicals really try to establish another system here in Europe, and they want to establish another system, and that's what we say. The radical Islam isn't a part of Germany, of course, and really there we have to observe, and they should be maybe observed by our secret service, but not my party. And we have really to bring the EU back to the 90s, to the 80s, when we had a good cooperation, a common market, cooperate, and maybe we should talk about how to defend Europe. And if this will fail to make a reform in this EEC or EU, we have to leave and to start a new project simultaneously with nations of same thinking and acting like Austria. No.
Germany might be about to end Europe's immigration chaos for good, has overtaken the Conservatives to become #1 among Germans, just 100 days into the current Chancellor Merz's term. This is despite his promises of a spending splurge and a crackdown on immigration, indicating trust has totally broken down. They're adamant with their policies, a complete end to all immigration, at least temporarily. They say Islam has nothing to do with German culture, and they want expressions of religion banned in public.
That kind of segment and that kind of rhetoric coming from a mainstream politician in a significant position of power, it would be unfathomable, unheard of 5 to 10 years ago. But now you're hearing it everywhere. Finally, there's a pushback. And really, who can blame them? The whole notion is insane. The level of naivete, the cognitive dissonance, this notion that we should be bringing in masse into our countries, into the Western world, individuals who openly hate us, people who threaten to replace us, who boast about having more kids than us, just to tip the demographic scales in their favor, this clear strategy of conquest through birth.
Ich will die Scharia in Deutschland, auf jeden Fall.
Würdest du die deutsche Verfassung aushebeln, wenn du die Gelegenheit hättest?
Auf jeden Fall.
Okay, danke.
Wie zum Beispiel? Wie könnte man jetzt aus Deutschland einen islamischen Staat machen? Wie zum Beispiel?
Laut den Werken ist das so, dass man, wenn man in der Mehrheit ist, wie Sie auch erklärt haben, sind wir dafür befohlen, Deutschland einzunehmen, auf jeden Fall.
Also es ist das ist eine islamische Pflicht, auch Deutschland einzunehmen.
Auf jeden Fall.
Stockholm is less than 1 million, right? And in Stockholm, if you have 10% Muslim, I was in the city of Malmö. Malmö is spelled with an O, but it's pronounced Malmö. And they said that if the Swedish population maintains its negative and the Muslim population maintains, Muslims have, mashallah, the average of 5, 6, 7 kids, right? The average, mashallah, that's for secret weapon, I say. That the prediction is, this is the halal secret weapon, guys, huh? So don't worry, take the video and miss it. Halal secret weapon. If the projection continues, I was told by one of the local councillors there that within one generation, it is very likely that this city will almost be half Muslim.
Now, obviously, that's not immigration. I think a better word to describe it is infiltration. This is a clear problem across the Western world. And it's not just happening in Europe. You don't really have to look so far. Just take a look at the American left with characters like Rashida Tlaib and others. Listen to some of the rhetoric at some of these events that are happening on the streets. Chanting death to America. We constantly hear it. This talk about dismantling America, dismantling the West, erasing our history, implementing Sharia law. It's obviously out of control, and frankly, it's a threat to our homelands. And the infuriating part is that if you mention it, and especially in the past, you would get canceled, you would get branded an Islamophobe. But how does that track? How can you be Islamophobic if even Muslim leaders from less extreme nations look at us and say, what the hell are you guys doing to yourselves? Why would you be opening the door to this?
And let me say this in English so you can understand what I'm saying. There will come a day that we will see far more radical extremists and terrorists coming out of Europe because of the lack of decision-making, trying to be politically correct, or assuming that they know the Middle East and they know Islam and they know the others far better than we do. And I'm sorry, but that's pure ignorance.
Every house produces garbage. We buy stuff, we import stuff, we use them, we have garbage. At the end of the week, we put the garbage in the garbage bin, we take the garbage bin outside, the government or council takes the garbage and takes it away from my house and your house and society. Why? Because if the garbage stays in the home, it creates illness and bacteria and diseases. You went to the Muslim countries and you imported the garbage that the Muslim countries wanted to put in prison or isolate away from society. Why? For cheap labor. But these Islamist extremists, they don't want to work, they want free welfare.
You're allowing it to happen. You can put rules and regulation, deport those Islamists. Do not let them harm your children. Do not let them harm your society, your community. Do not let them be the people who wake up on the 8th of October, for example, and tell you to boycott Challah, attack a Jewish restaurant just for being a Jew. And they justify it and they allow it. Don't be. This is your country. This is your civilization. You cannot be Muslim more than me. You will not be more Arab than I. So why is it that I banned the Muslim Brotherhood and you haven't? Why is it the fact that Islamic Relief is banned in UAE and is banned in Mecca, but is allowed in Paris and in London? So there is a lot of questions to be asked.
How can you be Islamophobic if literal Muslims from Oman, Saudi Arabia, the United Emirates, and Qatar, they're actively saying the same thing and warning us against this destructive practice? Very obviously, the logic doesn't track, and really the red pill is when you learn that these neighboring nations, even Egypt and Jordan right next to Israel, they refuse to take refugees from Gaza. They refuse to resettle jihadists or radicals. But the Western world, Europe, America, and Canada, we're supposed to be expected to roll out the red carpet? It's complete insanity, and look at the results. We've seen it. More stabbings, more bombings, mass grenade attacks in Sweden, more women being harassed and assaulted on the streets. We just covered a blatant terror attack that happened in Canada. The case where we saw a radical Islamist slashing a man's neck on a bus. He said he did it as an act on behalf of the Islamic State. We're also learning about another story of a Ukrainian girl being shoved on the train tracks and losing her life after an Afghan migrant pushed her. It's obviously out of control, and obviously there's a compatibility issue. The idea that we should accept this as normal, as if terror attacks that used to be headline grabbing, once in a decade events are now practically routine. Obviously it's not paranoia, it's not bigotry, it's not racism, it's not Islamophobia. It's observable reality, and you can't gaslight people into ignoring what they see with their own eyes anymore. The culture is shifting, folks, and it's happening, it seems, in record pace across the Western world. I think people are finally starting to realize that there's something to fight for, there's something to preserve here. This is our homeland, and the idea that we should just give it up because Klaus Schwab says so, because George Soros demands it, well, we simply cannot accept that. We must be extremely selective when it comes to immigration, and assimilation has to be the #1 priority. I mean, clearly certain groups don't want to assimilate, and that simply, in my view, is just not acceptable. And really, I think that's the greatest insult. Going to a foreign nation and refusing to assimilate. Instead of joining society, learning the language, respecting the culture, going there to flock together in a separate neighborhood where you set up your own rules, where you try to set up your own Sharia courts, that's not immigration. I think that's closer to colonization. If you come to a foreign country, the expectation is simple. You are here likely to seek a better life, and that means joining the society that's opened its door to you. You embrace that culture, you contribute to it, you become a part of it. You don't go and create your own parallel society that stands in direct opposition of the very values of the nation that welcomed you. And yet that is exactly what we are seeing. It's what we're seeing in Philadelphia, it's what we're seeing in Minneapolis, it's what we've seen across Europe, as well as north of the border in Canada. And that simply, in my view, is not acceptable. And I guess that idea is gaining popularity these days. Germany's had enough, all hell is breaking loose in the UK as well. Heck, even Japan is fighting back against mass migration, which is now being forced on its people by their current prime minister. The world is waking up. People are realizing that it's not racist to protect your homeland, to protect your values, to protect your society and your culture. And you know what? In the West, we have a whole lot to protect, despite what the radical leftoids who side with these Islamists would tell you. I don't know about you guys, but I'm not down with the people that are looking to take down the Western world. I'd rather uplift it and continue to celebrate what our ancestors left us. Anything else to me is crazy. Anyways, that's pretty much what I got for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.